So right before I was about to release this video, I am aware that AuntKaren was in the live saying that she was going to retract the fact that she was going to do a big bombshell drop off regarding ModernWarrior. So I'm aware of that. I'm still going to leave all my predictions in this video if you want to watch them, so you can kind of see where I was heading with this, because there is still something to talk about. But if she does them later, great. If she doesn't do them, that's fine. She's maybe she was lying. Maybe there wasn't really needing to talk about, or maybe she was silenced. Who knows? I guess maybe in due time we'll find out. But nonetheless, I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. Now, today I'm going to be talking about a few things, but I'm going to talk about AuntKaren and the video that she's allegedly going to release with a whole bunch of bombshells regarding as the womb lens turn. Or is it womb lens of our lives? I don't know which was funnier. Which soap opera rings better with the womb lens? But yeah, she came out on TikTok and said that behind a paywall, because she doesn't want to get bombarded with haters and blah blah blah, she is going to be releasing a whole bunch of information regarding some stuff that I think all of us already suspect, and some of us might even know about Lance. But nonetheless, it should be entertaining. But before we jump into that, I want to go ahead and talk about two other side topics, one of them being the double standard that is ever growing over on TikTok, of course, and you'll see in a minute just what I'm talking about. And then the other one is regarding pronouns. So we have a lot to unpack, but before we jump into it, I want to, as always, thank everybody for watching this video, making sure that if you guys can support me by hitting that like button, commenting down below, and then even sharing the video. You have no idea how much that helps me. Now, in addition to all of this, I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but recently YouTube allowed me to turn on memberships. Now, if you guys don't know what that is, very quickly, I'll let you guys know that I have 2 tiers down below that you guys can subscribe to if you can, and if you want to, and if you can find it in your heart, which basically what it says is, hey, I support this creator a bit more than just by hitting the subscribe button, right? But it's the standard free, we call it subscription button. So again, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but at one point or another, if you can in the future, I would really appreciate it, because as many of you guys know, and I'm sure you hear from other creators, these platforms don't pay for squat. I mean, arguably you can say YouTube is a lot better than TikTok. The only other way for us to really, be able to survive doing this is by getting big sponsors. Now, unfortunately, I don't see that happening anytime soon. I'm nowhere near the amount of size that these sponsors want, in order to put their products in front of them. So the only other way that our followers can truly, come out and say, hey, I truly fully support you, is by saying, hey, here's like buy me a coffee, like $2.99, $3.99, $4.99, whatever, right? Which again, when you collectively put together, even 100 people, it can make a big difference for any of us out here doing content. Again, in order for us to focus more on putting entertainment in front of you versus trying to find or to work a day job. But I digress. Let's move on to what you're here for. So jump into our first topic. Let me ask you this simple question. How many of you guys have been scrolling to TikTok and you see this? Like many of you guys, I am no stranger to seeing half-naked people over on TikTok. It doesn't scare me. And to be fair, necessarily, I'm not against people that are in the workspace of exchanging pictures of their body or videos of their body, or people doing things with each other in exchange for money. To each their own. As I've said before, as long as it's consensual and it's legal, do you. However, there is a problem that I have with the double standard that's ever growing on TikTok. Now, the reason this is a problem is because many of us, and including other creators, have said, hey, this is a kids app. In addition to this, I have seen statistics out. Pages like this one, the Social Shepherd, which shared interesting statistics about the user base on TikTok. And that is that the biggest user group on TikTok are actually kids between the ages of 10 and 19. Now, I use kids loosely there with the last 2 numbers, right? 18, 19, because I've said those are no longer children. I mean, maybe young adults, but nonetheless, the biggest user group being 25% in total are between the ages of 10 and 19. Now, it would be interesting to see how that number even further breaks down, right? In terms of like kids between the ages of 10 to 12, 12 to 14, and so on and so forth. Nevertheless, one of the biggest groups there is, again, young kids. So now that I've shared this information with you guys, help me understand why TikTok has allowed not only a verified individual to be posting videos half naked, but also videos that depict this. Now, by this, I mean a video where a adult woman is cosplaying as a kid's character. That kid's character being Dora the Explorer. Not that it matters, but I had to mute the video, of course, because I can't use the music from TikTok over here on YouTube. But you see here in the video where you have, again, an adult woman cosplaying as a kid's character. Now, this is disturbing in many different levels, right? Again, one is addressing the double standards that exist over on TikTok, where how many of us, like I said earlier, have been, giving our political opinion about something, sharing something that we found interesting, and it's boom, taken down. But yet we have an adult woman who has decided, which is my second point on this, to cosplay as a character that was created for children, many of them being toddlers. Now, there's a reason I shared that statistics with you earlier, and that is that users like this are very well aware that the large portion of this app user base are young minds, young kids. Again, according to the Social Shepherd, ranges between 10 and 19. So really, at the end of the day, what is really going to happen with this? Nothing. Why? Because TikTok is not interested in having their platform being used to have maybe more serious conversations, political conversations. They're moving from one mind-melting trend to the next. One day is dances and soap eating and all the other garbage, and then another day it's women like this, which again, to their standards, this is perfectly fine. I guess the only thing I can say about this is, listen, I personally have different values, right, for what I would hope my kids would come across. This is not within those values. No, I am not a conservative. For all of you guys about to say, oh, you're red pill, you can get your blue and red pill, grab them together and shove them up as far, never mind, you get it. It's not necessarily about being any kind of pill. It comes down to just morals. If you have children, and if you care about those children, as I care about mine, maybe, and only maybe, you would understand. It's not about shaming women. As I said before, I'm all for women going out there and saying, hey, if I don't mind showing them, and by them I mean upstairs, downstairs, whatever, go for it. You do you. There is a market for that, and there is a want and need for that, but I don't think an app that is widely known as a kids app is a place to do that. That's all. But let me know in the comments down below if you guys disagree with me, if you guys have seen worse. I'm going to bet that you guys have. Definitely interested in hearing what you guys would say about this. But moving on from that, let's move on to the next subject, and that is what's happening with pronouns. Now, I am very much of the mind of, again, like I said earlier, if it's legal and if it's consensual, to each their own. But with that said, I believe that there is a very dangerous and loose game we're playing increasingly with what's called pronouns. Now, to help us understand what pronouns are, because if I'm going to be honest with you, I'm kind of fuzzy over the whole thing, why don't we have this TikTok creator help us with that? Because, when you find out that there's obviously just more than one pronoun, but there's different subcategories of it, it can get confusing. So let's kick it over to him.
Pronouns, pronouns, xenopronouns, neopronouns. What's happening here? What is this?
What is happening?
This video has been requested a bajillion times, which tells me that allies are deeply interested in affirming who we are and understanding our community better. Okay. So if that's you, if you're an ally watching this video, or an ally sent it to you and you're an ally, if your ally is doing ally work and wanting to understand, thank you. You're doing the extra credit, and we appreciate it. If you are trans yourself or non-binary and want a deeper understanding about some words that may affirm you, keep listening, keep watching. Pronoun is a part of speech. He and she are the usual pronouns that everyone grows up with and thinking of referring to one person. But of course, they refers to one person as well. Someone left their umbrella. They as one person. But there's more to this story than just he, she, or they.
I gotta stop the video there real quick because while I'm not an English major, I will say that I know enough of the English language to know that they and they are actually not the same thing. One is possessive and one it's not. But let's continue.
I'm non-binary and my pronouns are they, them. So if you were going to talk about me, you would say, Jeffrey is an amazing author. They are really attractive. They being used in place of he or she to refer to one person, in this case, me. Because I'm non-binary. Neopronouns, literally new pronouns, refers to the creation of a new word, a neo word, to go in that slot. So a common one is Z. If my pronoun was Z, you would say Jeffrey is a brilliant thinker.
And I guess I am learning something. Honestly, I didn't know it was Z. I thought that was they. But okay.
Z is one of the most attractive people I've ever seen.
before he continues, because he is, I will say that the idea that words that are new that are created and can be a pronoun might get a bit confusing. I mean, can we at least agree on that?
You'd say a lot of things, I'm sure. So that is the creation of a brand new word to put in the slot where he, she, or they would go. Xenopronouns, perhaps one of the most beautiful concepts, one of the most poetic ways to approach this subject. Xenopronouns refers to any pronoun a person has that is unspeakable.
I take it back. This is confusing. I thought the previous one, the neopronoun, would be confusing. No, shit, this is more confusing.
That is unworkable in the language of a person. So an example would be a xenopronoun would be a word. I can't even say it, right? Because that's the point. They're unsayable and sort of effervescent and unknowable, kind of like a person's gender. That's why I love this one. So an example would be, a xenopronoun would contain a set of letters that is a pronunciation that a human being can't pronounce. It's some sound that a human being can't pronounce. Or that a xenopronoun contains an image.
Like a dolphin call, like a whale call? Because, I mean, I guess that's true. I wouldn't be able to say that, right? And furthermore, like, how do I address you without pissing you off? Because I know that this is also another issue within this community, right? That use other non-traditional pronouns in terms of, like, she and he. How do I say your pronoun without pissing you off? Because I didn't say it because it is unspeakable.
Or a concept that it's alluding to that is actually something that language has no way to express. The movement of understanding where non-binary people come from can sometimes take us into very lofty, beautiful, spiritual, poetic places.
And with all due respect, non-factual. Notice that in all those areas that he wants to take us, not one was logic or facts, but let's let him finish.
Thank you for your willingness to understand, and thank you for your willingness to honor us.
I'm trying, Jeffrey. God knows I'm trying. I'm trying right now, but you didn't make it very clear, and I worry because this is the same man that wanted to talk to children and explain all this too. How do you explain to a child that there are terms that are not speakable, but you should still consider for other humans? And you'll see what I mean in just a second. But before we jump into the second video about Jeffrey here, good old Jeffrey, let's watch a video of another TikTok user that also shares all the types of pronouns that exist out there. I think you're going to find this one very interesting as well.
Today I'm going to be teaching you how to use prince, princess pronouns in sentences, so let's go! Prince, prince. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to use shark, sharks pronouns in sentences, so let's go! Today I'm going to be teaching you how to use flower, flowers pronouns in sentences, so let's go! Today I'm going to be teaching you how to use wolf, wolf's pronouns in sentences, so let's go! Today I'm going to be teaching you how to use paint, paint's pronouns in sentences, so let's go! Today I'm going to be teaching you how to use cat, cat's pronouns in sentences, so let's go! Today I'm going to be teaching you how to use that, that's pronouns in sentences, so let's go! Today I'm going to be teaching you how to use the, verb, viz pronouns in sentences, so let's go! Today I'm going to be teaching you how to use thon, thon's pronouns in sentences, so let's go! Today I'm going to be teaching you how to use they, them pronouns in sentences, so let's go! They, them. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to use shroom, shroom's pronouns in sentences, so let's go! Ding, ding, ding. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to use he, him pronouns in sentences, so let's go! Today I'm going to be teaching you how to...
Now, hold on. Hold on there. I think the TikTok user is the lesbian Snow White. Hold on. I see what you're trying to do there. You try to trick me. It was him, right? You changed the Y for the I. I see what you did there. I don't want to offend anyone. I'm just saying I need further instruction on how to say him and him. Him and him. See what I mean? I'm not trying to piss anyone off, so yeah, I'm not falling for that one.
Use frogs, pronouns, and sentences, so let's go! Today I'm going to be teaching you how to use dawn, dusk pronouns and sentences, so let's go! Today I'm going to be teaching you how to use softs pronouns and sentences. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to use vamps pronouns and sentences, so let's go! Today I'm going to be teaching you how to use plants pronouns and sentences, so today I'm going to be teaching you how to use pastels pronouns and sentences, so today I'm going to be teaching you how to use kit pronouns and sentences, so let's go! Today I'm going to be teaching you how to use Madge's pronouns and sentences, so let's go! Today I'm going to be teaching you how to use fuzzy's pronouns and sentences, so let's I want people to understand it really does affect people who do use different pronouns. Someone not using your pronouns, that just will stick with you. Are you gonna do what we were meant to do, which is to help each other, to be there for each other? No, you don't have to love each other, but you can just respect each other. So that's why I feel like when people comment like, oh, this is such a bad thing, and it's just like, no, it's not a bad thing. I know you feel like it could be a bad thing, but that's just not the case. It's really sad and really unfortunate because we could be like thriving. If we all wanted to get along, everything would be like so much better. Oh my god, the world. Oh, hopefully one day, right? Maybe they'll put something out in the air where, you know, people will be smelling it and everyone will just be like, what are you talking about?
No, let's not put anything in the air, please. So all those exist, all those pronouns exist, and you know, hey, you want to be called frog, princess, and dusk? Do you? You know, I am no one to tell you what you want to be in life, okay? But I will say this, that it's going to get very confusing very quickly. I think that's at least, again, a common thing that we can all agree on, especially those that are pro-pronouns and those that are not. I think just having this vast amount, ever-ending things that you can just choose to, you know, as your pronoun, or as the first there, Jeffrey said, that it can be like a noise that even you cannot make with your mouth. I think that might be a problem. I just want to get to a point where we can all agree that this is getting a little out of control. This is just a tad, just a little bit. You know, again, I am the kind of person that it's like, you know, be and let live, kind of like do your own thing. You know, at the same time, I will say that there is some, you know, common ground that I think is healthy for us to find, and there, I'll explain why. Right. I think that, you know, if you are in one hand at home telling family, friends, or even in your workplace, if this is like just kind of like a thing at your workplace, in your close circle of friends, you get it. Hey, we're all going to choose our pronouns, and someone's like, hey, I'm unicorn, you're Nerky. Hey, I'm Pikachu. Hey, I am just him, whatever. And you guys all like do your thing. Hey, more power to you. Okay. But as you also heard from this fine lady, that if you don't use them correctly, right, and I'm gonna assume here she means like strangers and everyone out there in the world, and you just don't happen to know the pronunciation, you don't know how to make the noise that it's a xeno pronoun, right? Is that what they said? And you're like, well, how do I get past not making conflict with you, because I don't want to piss you off, I don't want to trigger you. Again, the commonplace has been to look at someone, and yes, you can say that's wrong, JT, but bear with me here, assume, oh, that's a woman, that's a man. I understand that's also no longer acceptable, but for lack of a better example, let's go with it. You look at someone, you're like, sir, ma'am, you know, if it's like a little kid, right, sometimes you say, hey, kid, boy, girl, right, something along those lines. And kind of the ship continues moving, maybe further along as you created a relationship, like, hey, don't call me ma'am anymore. Like, that makes me feel old. Call me miss. You're like, oh, I'm so sorry, miss. Right? I think, again, that has worked for quite some time. I think for the vast majority, not for the squeaky wheel, again, bear with me here, not for the squeaky wheel, but for the vast majority, right, of people, that has been okay. But now, right, if I'm going to look at someone and I'm like, sir, and they're like, excuse you, my pronoun, it's actually, sorry, come again. You heard me the first time. Like, no, actually, I didn't hear the first time. I'm trying to hear the first time. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to get fired. I don't want to make a scene here. Can you just repeat that one more time? In fact, just write it down for me real quick. I cannot write it down. How dare you? It's it's what did the first guy say? It's something that you cannot even say into words. It's like, okay, how do we get past this, right? So I told you guys I would show you the next video, and that next video is the same first creator, Jeffrey. Jeffrey says that he wants to talk to the kids.
I want to talk to the kids. Parents watch the video and then hand the phone over to the young kids.
Hey, Jeffrey, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. I didn't do that. I have kids, and I decided after I watched both of your videos and the other video of the young lady, I decided, you know what? I don't think you're the best person to explain this with all due respect. So I didn't do that. I want to make sure I own up to that right now.
Hi there. I get asked a lot, are you a boy or a girl? And I love that question. And so I wanted to just tell you, sometimes human beings are more than boy or girl. Sometimes we're something else. Sometimes we're both. Sometimes we kind of float in between, and sometimes we're a boy, sometimes we're a girl, because human beings are creatures, and we're wild and exciting. But I want to ask you a favor. If you see a kid like me, or an adult like me, would you be extra nice to them?
No. See, this is the first part, Jeffrey, that you lost me on. It's not that I don't, that we're not going to be nice to you. I'm choosing not to be nice to you, or to tell my kids, of course, not to be nice to you. No, I think we should be nice to everyone. I think we should be kind and humble, right? I think that because of your life choices, if some people have been nasty to you, I will tell you right now, F them, right? Like, I mean, unless you feel like you deserve it, like you were also being shitty, then, F both of you. But if not, if it kind of came on, unprovoked, then F them. F those people that have been maybe nasty to you. But just because, you have decided to be, as you said yourself, a they, I believe, where you kind of flow, as you also described, between being a female and a male, or however you just described it. That doesn't give you a handicap. Like, no. Like, I'm not going to be extra nice. I'm sorry, but that's just it. Again, it's not a handicap. With all due respect, it's not. We should be kind to you, of course, right? If you are a kind and a respectful individual, we should be like that to everyone. But because you decided to be an individual that has pronouns, it doesn't give you special privileges. I am sorry.
Would you do me a favor and be very, very kind? Yeah, like anybody, we can feel lonely. And so if you're kind to us, it would be really, really important.
Why, Jeffrey? I mean, that was the end of your video. You give no facts, no logic, feelings. Just like in your first video. Feelings, feelings, feelings everywhere. Everybody gets feelings. No, I'm sorry. Again, should we be kind to the LGBTQ community? Yes, we should be kind and humble to them and to everyone. I'm not talking about like the Jeffrey Dahmers of the world, of course, right? Or anybody that is just a despicable, atrocious human being, clearly. No, we're not going to be kind to them. F them, right? But I'm not going to be especially kind to you and tell my children that they should what? Like be extra gentle with you, like a frail individual just because you're part of the LGBTQ community. I know LGBTQ members, right? And they say this is BS. This is a toxic narrative, right? We are not handicaps. We don't have a disease that you have to watch out for and like, oh my God, are you sick? No, I mean, so I'll leave it there when it comes to this subject. You guys let me know down below in the comment section if I'm totally off on this one, or where do you guys stand? Because this right here just pushes to confuse more people than it does help. And again, like I said just right now, I know people in the LGBTQ community that say that this is BS. Because, well, I said earlier, I do respect someone that's like, hey, JT, we're going to talk to each other and know each other for some time now. Can you refer to me as Z? I'm like, I will honestly do my very, very best. And when I fail, I apologize ahead of time, right? I'm going to say, hey, man, my bad. Z, do you want coffee? Right? I will, because I am a firm believer that is what needs to be done to maintain the peace, and that is it. But it's very different from you coming up to me and maybe yelling at me because I got your pronoun wrong that I can't even pronounce, or you're using something that's so far-fetched that I'm just simply not going to use because you violate now my morals. And very quickly, I will let you know that there is somebody out there, maybe they're trolling, that they're saying that their pronouns are God. I'm not going to call you God. It's just not going to happen. But moving on now to all the tea that's happening or about to happen over on TikTok because of AuntKaren. Now, as I said before, right? And I want to make sure that everybody understands that I know this, and I mention this sometimes often about AuntKaren because I too have family members that suffer from some kind of mental illness. Now, back to back almost, AuntKaren put up this video. Now in the video, there's really not too much to break down other than really what she puts on the screen in text. But she puts on there at the top the header, bipolar struggle. And then she puts me. I don't need my meds. I'm perfectly fine. Which is also something very commonly said by many people taking, pills, medication for a mental disability. My relative says the same thing. And then she openly admits that 2 to 4 weeks later, the effects kick in, right? Which in her case is not able to feel, sleep, depressed, unmotivated. And that's pretty much it for the video. So again, I brought it up because I think that this is a way for her to maybe say, hey, I'm not okay. I'm not saying she's not okay. I'm just saying usually because, as I said earlier, family members of mine do something similar. It's a way for them to reach out right before they reach a breaking point. But moving on from that, let's go to the next video that she posted, which is the one that everyone's talking about.
I think it's time that I come clean with some information. A lot of you were wondering where my head was back in March. And there was a lot of information that I didn't share because I was protecting people. This has weighed heavily on my mental health. I want to share with you guys the information that I have while still protecting the identity of those who shared it with me. I also want to add, none of this is by Chelsea. Pause to read.
So we'll go through this real quickly. I'm sure she'll talk about it again in the live or the pay, but yeah, it's going to be behind the paywall that she's going to have at one point today, allegedly. But I will say this. She touched on something, right? In the video, she said something has been weighing heavily on me. Essentially, that she's been covering up. In past videos, I've said that I think many creators on here cover for each other, right? When they do like little oopsies. I mean, I profoundly believe that, an example, Dinesh guy and that RX Exorcist are always covering from each other. They're always doing something they shouldn't be doing, but covering for each other. Why? Because we even saw this from AuntKaren and RX Exorcist, right? At one point, they had a bit of a fallout. They were bickering with each other, and then they became best friends. So this is no different. I mean, here in this screen grab that she posted on the video, she says it's such a scary process because it's easy when it's other people, but there's so much uncertainty when it's yourself. And it's really sad to see that Ms. Jones doing the shit she's doing because I remember exactly how it felt to have his attention, meeting ModernWarrior. He's so cunning and manipulative, he draws you in with his sweet face and warm demeanor. Are we talking about the same person? But he is so mentally unwell. He needs to fit his ego in any way that he can, and he sees women as objects. I wish I could come forward about how he actually essayed me and have had that final nail in his coffin. So, before we continue, let's kind of try to break this on very quickly with whoever she is speaking with. Now, for someone to come out and say that there has been essayed, I think that's a very strong allegation. I think that this is something that needs concrete evidence. Yes, I am all for believing victims, but I'm also all for fair processes of bringing individuals to justice. I don't think that mob mentality is healthy. I don't think that just social justice from random influencers, even as AuntKaren herself, is a fair way to give anyone a fair trial. I think that this individual, if truly has been essayed by ModernWarrior or Lance Sosi, I think that, I hope that there's evidence. I want to believe that this individual, if he or she is coming out and saying that they have been essayed by Lance Sosi or the ModernWarrior, that there is something that can sustain their claim. Far too often, I've seen, famous individuals and everyday Joes get accused, over things that never happened, or at least did not happen in the way the person accusing them, said happened. But it appears that there are more screen grabs.
Pause to read.
Now in this one, the user says, "Hi AuntKaren, I really wish to be kept anonymous, but I want to tell my story about my interaction with Lance. He and I were speaking for over a year, and throughout my entire time speaking, not once did he ever mention other women. He kept trying to convince me to go visit him in Denver, but I always declined. He was the one initiated sexual conversations, who sent dirty pictures and videos, who claimed that he was falling for me. 2 days ago, he messaged me regarding sex. Then yesterday morning, he said that he was seeing someone and couldn't talk to me anymore. The timing is very telling. I think he wants to cover his tracks." Now there at the bottom, it just says, again, please keep this anonymous. If you mention it at all, hot. I think that person meant because maybe I had to tell my story. So, as I said just a minute ago, if this is all true, then yeah, I think the individual has every right to tell their story. I already told, what I already thought about Lance Solsi and how much he's a bigoted. And of course, later on, I covered him again when I said, hey, the guy is a womanizer. I mean, that is as clear as daylight. But, as always, don't take it from me. Why don't we go to someone that actually has a story with facts that she can share about Lance and how Lance is a big misogynistic womanizer. And the person I'm talking about is actually Amanda Marie. If you haven't seen him yet, some time ago she released 3 videos in which she explains in detail how much of a narcissistic womanizer Lance really is. So let's watch those now.
Do you remember when I said this?
I'm tired of being used as a pawn by people with larger follower counts than me, banking on my kindness to cover up and not acknowledge their shitty fucking behavior.
And this?
I'm done. The truth is what needed to be out there. I needed to tell my story so that Lance didn't use his platform any longer to take advantage of women. That's what needed to be said. That is the truth that needed to be talked about, not everything else. So I'm fucking...
I would rather risk losing my entire platform to tell the truth exactly as I know it to be than to sit back and watch a misogynistic man drag me through the mud and refuse to take any responsibility for this mess that he's made. As a strong woman who is raised by a strong woman, who is surrounded by strong women, and who has a platform based in empowering women, I cannot sit here and watch this man pretend to be a victim as he continues to lie and manipulate. And if I stay quiet, then all of this was for nothing. All of the pain that was caused was for nothing. I have been quiet for nearly 2 weeks now to protect him, but if he's going to resort to threatening me to keep me quiet, then I am no longer afraid of him. And if you're Lance's lawyer, are you okay with him threatening me twice? If you know me, then you know that I'm a fairly reserved person. I always try to speak with intention. I'm careful. I care about the truth, and I care about respecting others above all else. So to be threatened by the person who has been lying to me for months is not something that I can ignore any longer. This all started with Lance, and it ends with Lance.
So there, again, if you guys are still a little lost, this video came out shortly after the whole Woomlon saga season 1 started. And, obviously Amanda was kind of done with a back and forward. Chelsea didn't help at all, and really bringing things to light the right way. It was more of the dramatics for her. But of course, here we have Amanda saying, hey, this is a message for Lance. This is who he is. And on top of that, hey, to the lawyer, because everyone's always claiming, oh, he has a lawyer. He has a really good lawyer. It's a genuine question. It's a good question, right? Are you okay with Lance threatening women? Are you? Right? I mean, is that who you're protecting? But there's more. So let's go to the next video.
It's something I don't normally do, and I typed out what it is that I wanted to say. I did this because what I have to say is important, and I don't want to mince words or forget anything. I acknowledge and accept that I made many mistakes with how this all played out. For the first one being supporting Chelsea at the beginning, though I don't regret why I supported her. I didn't know her before all of this started, so I didn't know the type of person she was or what she was trying to do. That's why on the day that I was finally able to get some perspective, I made the video revoking my support of her. But being in the middle of everything, including my own heartbreak, meant I wasn't able to see who she really was at first, like many BIPOC creators were able to. He's been lying to and manipulating everyone for months. Me, Chelsea, AuntKaren, and all of his followers. This is why you haven't seen a word of accountability come from his mouth, because this deception is bigger than just Chelsea and I. People have been saying we want Lance's side as a way of showing support for him over the past few days, but I've been saying that since the beginning. And the reason you aren't getting Lance's side is because it sucks. He knew the type of person Chelsea was and refused to say anything. She caught him cheating on her and blew up on him the night before this all came out, and he made the decision not to ask for help. Instead, he posted a pitiful apology video, quoting me no less, and I have to find out he was cheating on me through TikTok. That made it clear to me that he did not care about me, does not respect women, and was only interested in protecting himself. He's made it even more clear in his 2 weeks of silence while he lets women act as a shield for him so he doesn't have to do anything. Because he knew he could have come to me and said, Amanda, I fucked up, and no matter how mad I was at him, I would have helped him. He knows that. There is not a bad thing that man can say about me because I was a great friend to him, and he knows that.
Real quick, before I forget, she brings up a good point, right? Lance actually has a tendency of using women as shields. I mean, literally. If you guys remember that one other apology, right, where him, and Ms. Jones were apologizing, right, for their little like, oh, you're white comment. He was also, we all saw it very behind her and letting her kind of like be the face, and the voice for the whole apology. So she brings up a very good point. There's a pattern there.
Too. Instead, he wanted to sit back and let everything play out without ever holding himself accountable. This all started because he lied to so many people for the sake of protecting his platform. Everything he has done has been to protect his platform and his image. That is why he is more interested in apologizing to his followers when he messes up and not to the individuals he hurt. He has never apologized to any of us for the lies he told that began unraveling months ago. And he knew that letting women fight this out meant he was going to get off the hook relatively clean. And it worked. So you want to know Lance's side? I'll tell you his side.
So that next video is actually the better of the three. Check it out.
Do you remember when I said this? This is the third and final part of what I'm going to post about this, and I'm also going to read what I already wrote so that I don't miss anything. He has flirted with, sent nudes to, requested nudes from, and tried to have more women than just Chelsea and I fly out there to visit him. He used his platform as a way to protect himself and thought it would prevent him from getting caught. He knew the type of person Chelsea was and still had her come visit him, even though they both made it sound like she wanted it more than he did. She was there the day before he posted a TikTok with another creator, the video that both Chelsea and I saw and found out he was dating somebody else. On March 3rd, in the beginning of all this, him and I were on the phone, and he referred to me as his partner, and he acknowledged what a true friend I was for still trying to protect him despite everything that has happened. He told me that what we had was different, and he never saw Chelsea as anything more than a friend, and that what they had was not like what we had. The romantic part of our relationship was on and off at that point, because he wanted to date a woman of color because they could better relate to him and understand race in a way that a white woman could not. He's not wrong, but the timing seemed a little suspicious. It was very convenient that the video he had posted that weekend was with a woman of color creator on TikTok who is now posting videos in support of him while also saying things like,
"It's like your third girlfriend." I'm like, yeah. Chicken heads aren't girlfriends. Let's just be straight.
Well, we all know who this is. It looks like, way before even I knew who Miss Jones was, she was already throwing punches, like calling, at least the way I took it, Amanda and Chelsea chicken heads, but...
on her lives, even though he continues to lie to her to protect his own ass, especially since he destroyed his relationship with AuntKaren, who refused to continue to support him after spending months defending him against lies he told everyone. Lance's side includes having women writing his apology videos and us explaining to him why what he has said and done is problematic. While he can save face publicly, we are doing the emotional labor for him, and yet he never seems to learn from his mistakes. He continues to post videos out of anger because he needs to get the last word in and be right, even at the expense of reason. Lance's side is being married to a white woman, lying about it, and having his friends defend his lies because he refused to even tell the woman he was in a relationship the truth. The reason you will never hear Lance's side and the reason he is trying to threaten me into silence is because he knows there's nothing he can say that I can't contest, that I don't have receipts to disprove. So you should know that anything else he posts about this situation further implicates himself as a misogynist and a hypocrite. He chose to lie to people he knew cared about him as a way to further himself on a platform he used to lie and manipulate on. He told me more than once that he was going to leave TikTok for good and give his account over to an indigenous woman, and he has been saying that for months, and yet he continues to make his own content. I stand by everything I have said, and I know I have dozens of women who will defend me if necessary. I have been silent out of fear of what he was going to do, but I cannot allow this man to continue to manipulate me in order to protect himself. I messaged him today asking if we could talk, but he read it and didn't respond. Lance, if you'd like to talk now, I'm happy to go live with you. Otherwise, this is done.
Well, no disrespect to you, Amanda, but this is far from done, I think. Obviously, as we can see there from the messages that AuntKaren has, unless the messages from AuntKaren are the messages from Amanda, right? Because there's some similarities there as far as like, hey, him having a habit of like sending nudes and stuff like that. And, you know, well, there's generally nothing wrong with that. I don't believe that there is, unless you're going to use them, I guess, again, illegally, right? Like, as I've been saying, right? As long as it's consensual, as long as it's not illegal, do you. So, obviously, I haven't seen any leaked nudes from Lance, and I haven't seen really anybody accuse Lance of leaking a woman's nudes. So I think everything's fine so far in that realm, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it sounds like this is what he does, right? He asks for nudes and stuff like that. So it, it could be that the person that AuntKaren says that she wants to like spill his tea about is Amanda. Then again, that person wants to stay anonymous, so who knows? As I just said right now, Amanda, this is far from over, right? She says it's over. Maybe it is for her, and it may very well be, because I had a interview scheduled with Amanda, and then she backed out. She's like, never mind, and that's fine. I respect her wishes. She doesn't want to deal with it maybe anymore, and that's fine. So it looks like there's a lot more people coming out now. At the end of the day, would any of us really be surprised if there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 20 more women that come out with much more grotesque stories about Lance? But the real question is, where does this end, right? When do the massive amount of blind sheep supporters he has kind of open their eyes, right, to the kind of individual that Lance is? I hate to toot my own horn, but I've been saying it now for what, over a year? Unfortunately, it has taken a lot, right, to really get this guy off his high horse and humble his ass, right? Because that's really what needs to happen. Do I think that Lance is like the worst person on the planet? No, let's be realistic. There's far, far worse people. Do I think he's a good human being? It depends on what era we're talking about, right? Is he generally good to women? Again, from what perspective are you looking at this? Because from my perspective, no. What he's done, that's not something that I would ever see myself doing, or for that matter, ever would be okay with having a friend doing. But let's see what happens. I look forward to watching AuntKaren's video. Of course, I'm going to do a full breakdown review of it, again, as long as I can get my hands on it. And I welcome anyone, including AuntKaren, Marie, ModernWarrior. You want to come out because you feel like I'm always talking about you. You want to set me straight. Let's do it, right? As I've always said, right, Tissy? Let's do it, right? What do you want to say? Because so far, as my own followers and even my haters have said, I am the only one really breaking these things down with logic, right? Putting feelings aside. Logic, facts, logic over anyone's feelings, including mine. So anybody want to talk? Let's talk. But so I'm going to cut it and come back to the earlier me that was later in the recording, because of what I explained at the beginning of this video. So, I'm not going to go ahead and move on with the predictions, because really, now that she says she's not going to talk about it, as I explained at the beginning of the video, there's no use in making any more predictions. So I'll leave it there. But if you don't mind, people always ask me, how can I help JT with the show? Please make sure you guys like, comment. It really helps me. It makes my day when I see, all you guys on there commenting and, making conversation over it, discussing the video. So thank you for doing that. And until next time, see ya.